Howdy, howdy, this is Crafty Grinding back again with an arena cutoff video for Marvel Contest of Champions. Today I'm going to cover round one results for the Drax and Thor Ragnarok arenas, and then do a little time trend analysis to come up with predictions for round two. So when we first take a look at the round one results, we can see Thor came in kind of on as expected, not a high end like Blade, new champ, new recent champ kind of thing, but kind of around. I think this is more like that Morning Star. If you look at the Morning Star results, this is more in line with where she came in at. The top 10%. Now, what's been, and this is even the case with the Valor, what's been really interesting though are the tier shards because they too come with more Valor points. And the top 10% now is at 4.75, where that's typically at 4.5 million. And then the 11% tier was even impacted. That typically comes around 2.1, 2.2 million. This time it's going up all the way to that next milestone reward of 2.5 million and actually 2.505 exactly this last time. Now we come over to the four-star basic Drax arena. Here in the middle, you can see that his top 10% was at 2.3 million, with 11 to 25% at 1.6 million. This is kind of on the high end of a low interest champ, but not high enough to really go up to that mid interest champ level, where the lowest we've ever seen there was 2.5 most recently with King Groot and Psylocke at 2.7. So he's still at that lower level, but kind of on that higher end of low interest champs. And then we come over here to the three-star Thor Ragnarok feature arena. You can see that the top 10% came in at 1.36 million and the 11 to 25% came in at 562,000. This again is on the lower end of where we've seen recent champs come in, which is above 1.5.2 million. So, how do the predictions from round one stack up against these results? Well, for the most part, they're really close across the board. The 18.2 and the 4.6, the 4.6 was just a little lower than expected, but that 18.2 is the key one that I kind of grade the predictions off of. So the 18.2, because it's within 10% and it's just a slightly above when you're dealing with this, your 700,000 is slightly above since it's under 10%, which is like 1.8 million, as you can see, or actually I guess it's 1.7 million, since it's well within that 10% range and it's above the actual cutoff, which means you got the champ. This one was a good result for sure. And then when we look at the four-star basic Drax arena, you can see that it was the result was almost directly on, but it was just a tad bit under. And 11.25% was good, but the 2.2, because if you just went by the prediction alone, you just missed getting the champ. So even though it's almost exactly at the cutoff, because it's slightly under, and the prediction by itself doesn't get the champ, this is just really a meh kind of grade. That's why I always recommend going to the grind target, which gives you a little bit above, since past results don't always guarantee future results. And lastly, when we come over here to the three-star arena, you can see the Thor Ragnarok. My prediction was 1.53, where the real results was 1.3 and some change. So it was a couple 100,000 off, just above 10%, which was around 146,000, something like that. Or sorry, 1.46 million. And since it was off a little bit, even though you got the champ, this too is a meh grade. So when we take a look at round two results, round one and round two results, comparing the four-star feature new champs, you can see with Mephisto and Blade, they were very similar. But with Morningstar, there was a huge drop-off. And then also, if you look at the bottom at the top 10%, and I'm on the graph on the left, you can see the top 10% and 11 to 30%. You can see those numbers I was talking about before, typically around 4.5 for the top 10 and 2.1 to 2.2 for the 11 to 30%. All of these have jumped. This is probably where we've seen the biggest impact from the Valor points so far. My guess in terms of the actual four-star feature getting the champ, it'll be similar to what we've seen with Mephisto and Blade, where those numbers stay real close, or if not a little bit higher than the first round cutoff. Now we come over to the four-star basic low interest. You can see that between round one and round two, there's a slight bump up, and this is, in what's interesting, this is also the case for the mid-interest champs. I took a look at Psylocke and King Groot, which like I was saying at the beginning, Drax came close to, but still not close enough to be really labeled a mid-interest champ. So because of that, but you can see both the mid-interest and the low-interest champs, the second round is always higher than the first. And then when we look at the 11 to 25%, same thing happens. There's always a slight bump between round one and round two. And lastly, when we come over to the three-star feature arenas on the right, you can see with Mephisto, Morningstar, and Blade, in every case there was a drop. In the case of Morningstar and Blade, there was a significant drop, almost 300,000 in both cases. And in the case of Mephisto, was about 100,000 drop. I went took a look back since it's been a while since we had a new champ come in at 1.3 million for the first round in the three-star feature arena, and just to see what kind of drop, if there was a drop, since it was a much lower first round cutoff. And the couple cases that were close to 1.3, it did drop as well. Now it was closer to a Mephisto drop, which was on 100,000 versus that 300,000 drop we saw most recently with Morningstar and Blade. I expect a drop, but probably closer in that Mephisto range versus Morningstar and Blade. And speaking of the drops that I'm expecting, here's actual round two predictions. When it comes to drops in the four-star feature, I don't see a drop. We saw the trends, and the trends was either at the similar cutoff or slightly above. I think that's what we're going to see here with the Thor Ragnarok four-star feature. I think you're going to see it come in at 17.9, a couple 100,000 higher than the last one. And for the top 10%, I think again you're going to see people pushing that up slightly higher. They knew last time 4.7 just barely got it or didn't get it at all, so they'll push those numbers up to 4.8 million. Same thing with the 11% tier. If you're somebody going after that shard tier, it went around 2.5, just over 2.5, that last milestone reward. I think it'll go a little bit higher this time to 2.6. Now, here in the middle in the four-star basic Drax arena, I think the top 10% again will see that 100,000 bump to 2.4 million, and 11 to 25% with the slight bump to 1.65 million. And lastly, with the three-star feature Thor Ragnarok, we can see that one drop. I'm predicting around that 100,000 range to that 1.25 million, with 11 to 25% coming in at 670. As we just recently seen though with the Drax arena, don't play into the predictions can be a risky game, as these are just trend predictions, and trend past results don't guarantee what future results are going to look like. So if you really want to make sure you get this champ, you need to make sure you go higher than the predictions and go to those grind targets. And in terms of grind targets, if you really want to make sure you get Thor Ragnarok 4-star, go to 18.2 million. If you want to get the top 10%, go to 5 million. If you really want to make sure you get that 11% tier shard, then you should go to 2.7 million. And lastly, or not lastly, here in the middle for the 4-star basic with Drax, the top 10%, 2.6 million should lock him up. 11 to 25% shard tier shards should come in at 1.7 million. And then with the 3-star feature Thor Ragnarok, 1.3 million should make sure you get him with 11 to 25% at 680,000. And again, both the grind target and the predictions are for the veteran bracket, meaning that your account's been open over 61 days. So as usual, I don't have the hardcore numbers to run trend analysis for the beginner bracket and intermediate bracket. Beginner bracket 1 to 30 days, and intermediate bracket 31 to 60 days in terms of when the account's been open. And again, not how many days you played, but how long your account's been open. For the beginners bracket, though, we do have some ranges based off of my own personal experience a couple months ago, and based off of some anecdotal input from the community, where 3-star feature came in around 245,000, 4-star basic at 1 million around there, and the 4-star feature around 1 million as well. The intermediate bracket, 3-star feature at 650,000, and the 4-star basic at 1.4 million, and lastly the 4-star feature at 1.2 million. Again, these are my thoughts, and also the results from the first round for the Drax and Thor Ragnarok arenas, plus my thoughts on what round two predictions look like. Would love to hear your thoughts, and any questions you may have, throw them on down in the comment section. We can talk about them there. If you like this video, I'd really appreciate you hitting that thumbs up button, and if you like this and other videos I have in the channel, would really appreciate a subscribe. Other than that, thanks a lot for stopping by, and have a great day.